So why would I use it? When you have a retargeting list, it is the same as building an email list. It's an asset. You're building a list of people that are engaged in your content in some way, shape, or form. So you need to understand it's actually an asset that you're building. So that's why you want to use it, because over time, middle of next year, 2017, Facebook's been said to say that it's going to basically max out the current ad campaign structure it has in newsfeed on mobile and desktop. What that means is that it's going to be much more competitive. So you need to start building your asset, your list of people that are going to be engaging in your content, because that also means price is going to go up. So we need to start to understand, why we're doing these things in a long-term point of view, because we want to have this asset that's going to be people that are highly engaged in what we have to say over anyone else. So this is now the time. This is now where you're going, okay, we need to make things start to happen. So if you haven't been using it already, you really, really, really need to utilize it. So you've got number one, retargeting, and you can retarget in many different ways. So it's super powerful. So if you can understand this, it just works really, really effectively. So what is it? If you don't know what the term retargeting means, if you've ever been on Amazon or you've gone to Expedia or something like that, and you've come back and you're going, why am I now seeing an ad for Amazon or Expedia on my Facebook page? Purely because they are retargeting you. It just means that if you imagine that this little gold star that we have here is placed on you. If you go to a website, you get a gold star placed on top of you. And what that means is Amazon or Expedia or you are starting to build a list of all these people that have gold stars on them. Everyone that's somewhat consumed your content, somewhat consumed what it is you have to offer and share. And now you can market to them. So you've identified all these people that have come and visit you, and now you can market to them in an effective manner online. So that's what it is in the, we could go into the detail of the actual code and things like that. But that's not important. What is important is understanding what it is from a contextual standpoint. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through a live demo. We're going to set up and place an ad for retargeting purposes. So we're going to set up and place the pixel, but also an ad for retargeting as well, to show you how we would do that. So I'm going to utilize ClickFunnels. Obviously, that's the most relevant one that we've been using in this training program. We'll show you how to utilize that, and we'll make a couple of points and examples of that as well. So what we're going to do is jump into ClickFunnels and then also into our Facebook account. Actually, I'll go into remember where we are. So we'll start off in Facebook. There we go. And I'm going to go into our traffic ad account. And what you see here is a normal ad account as you guys would see it, right? What we want to do is you want to jump into here up the top, and we will look at our pixels to start off with. So if you haven't ever been in there before, this is where you get your pixel from. So you can, and as I said before, pixel is just a little piece of code. So as we go in here, we collect that. This is what you put on everything that you ever do. Everything that you ever do, you want to take this code. And you want to make sure you've got it. And now, because what happened before was, if you look at that view, when you click down here, people were missing out certain parts and not copying it all and being just having a bunch of issues. So now it automatically copies on there so that you can best leverage it. So all we want to do now is let's look at, for example, so here's a webinar campaign I'm running currently for us to generate leads. Probably the same webinar that a lot of you guys watched. But there's two places I want to put this pixel, right? I should put it on everywhere. But first of all, I want to put it on the replay section, because what I want to potentially be able to do, if someone goes through and they've opted in and they've registered to watch the replay, I want to be able to run an ad to them. I want to be able to say to them, hey, look, you watched this, but have you yet spoken to Mark? Have you yet become part of our program? Have you looked at this? So if we look at the settings sections up here, tracking codes, this is where your Facebook pixel goes. So we'll paste it in here. So you've probably done some of this in the other sections, but I just want to go through this again and all in one piece. So paste that, we'll just go on Control V, Command V, depending what you're using. Paste it in there. It's a different pixel. I don't want to mess up what I have going currently. And you save that. And we'll also do it on the landing page as well. So edit, same thing, go in, edit the pixel, settings, tracking codes, put it on there. So now it's on both our pages. So what we can now do in Facebook is now we can start to, now we've done that part. That's the part that most people don't do. They forget about it, like, oh, I want to retarget, I want to do these things, but they haven't done that part yet. So now we go into another section up here. We go into audiences. So this is where we start to set those retargeting audiences up from. So now what we need to also have is we need to have the exact URL that we're using here, right? So we need to push that little arrow and get that, and we need to have this one as well. Bring these both up. So within here, what we can now do is say, okay, we want to create a customized audience, because we're building our audience, remember, of our website traffic, of people that have utilized and somewhat consumed our content in some way, shape, or form. So we don't want just anyone though, we want people who visit specific web pages, because we want to identify our audiences, right? So we want to go, this ID is going to be our registration page. So URL you're happy to go with contains here. There's a few reasons why we don't want to go equals, just because sometimes the URL slightly changes and you want to make sure that you get everything that you need out of it. And I like to go, the maximum is 180 days, so I'll go with 180 days. So this is, for example, webinar registration page. I'll create it, and hopefully afterwards I can delete it so I don't confuse the guys, but webinar registration page, we'll create that audience. And then we have the replay page as well, correct? So we do exactly the same process. Webinar replay page, and create that. So what that allows me to do now is I can run ads to people that are on the replay page or people that registered. So if you've opted in and you've watched the webinar, but let's just say maybe you haven't spoken to the sales team yet, or you haven't actually gone through and made a decision to purchase a program or anything like that, I can now target and start to run ads specifically to those people. Another cool, like if you wanted to go to another next level deeper, is what I can then do is I can build a lookalike audience. Now, a lookalike audience is where Facebook goes, I'll find you, 1% of the population that match that audience. So for me, if I'm going, well, people that watch my webinar are probably very, very good people. They've opted in for a great price, and they're interested in my product or service. What I can now do is I can start to identify and actually expand that audience. I can go, give me an audience of people that are 150,000 more people that look exactly like these people. So that starts to be very cool, and that's why I like to separate the audiences out. Not only because we can start to do some nice targeting things here when we run our ads, but also we can actually then leverage that into creating a lookalike audience for another ad campaign. So you can see it starts to get really powerful when you play with these more and more and more. So if we jump now into the ads manager, just the ads section, I just want to show you guys as an example of how we then select that to run our campaign to. So what we want to do, and there's a couple of different ways you would do it, so I'm just going to do an example here, hopefully without ruining anything for the guys. Just going to do test. Create a new campaign. I'm just going to do this and we'll delete it after anyway. So this is the section that you play with it, right? This is where you have your fun. So in here now, you guys saw before we set these up. Sometimes if you drive a bit of traffic, it takes a little bit of a while to create those audiences. If you haven't set them up at the very beginning when you first place the pixel, you can set up any time. As long as you place the pixel first, it doesn't really matter when you create the audience, but sometimes it takes like half an hour for it to populate in Facebook to pull all that information together. So let's just say that I want people that hit the registration page, but let's say I don't want people that So let's just say I don't want people that hit the replay page. So what I do is I jump in here and I can exclude this audience. Because what I might be able to do is run an ad campaign to this registration page people and say, hey guys, you hit the page, but you didn't register for the webinar. Just want to know why not, so you can get feedback. Or I can say, hey, would you like to get this free PDF download of the same topic as the webinar? So I can still try and capture those people, even if they didn't necessarily like what it was I was talking about. I can market specifically to them. So you can start to play with different combinations of these, which is the real powerful part. So I can go the webinar registration page, I can market to them, I can market to the replay page and be like, hey, you watched the replay, but you haven't yet registered for a call, or you haven't yet purchased the Facebook Marketing Mogul system, click here to find out more, or here's a testimonial of such and such who's done a phenomenal job in there, and get some feedback and start to play with those sorts of things. So by understanding this part on how you set up these audiences, this is where retargeting on site and also setting ads up to effectively retarget those people properly is just hugely, hugely powerful. I could also just run a testimonial video to these people, because I know that if they're going to be eventually speaking to someone on my team, I can just run a testimonial video so they start to see the results that we can generate. So you can really start to have fun with these things. There is a big point to consider though, remembering that just double check your locations and interests. If you are using these, you don't want any location in there because it's going to change things. And also remember, depending on what your campaign setup was originally, you want to look at your age targeting and gender and things like that as well, just in case you do turn anything on or off and then you go, oh, my audience isn't there. Make sure you delete the location and this section and targeting if there is anything in there, just in case it hinders your audience. But guys, it's a very simple but not easy process this. So what my feedback for you all to do is to go through and make sure that you place all the pixels. You have the pixel on everything that you're doing on all your campaigns currently, wherever you're sending people, make sure you have it there. If you've got it there, make sure that you're then setting up these audiences and seeing how big they are and going, cool, post up in the group, what are some of the ideas that you're going to be utilizing these for? So I'd love to know. So post up your feedback, guys, as always in the group. Ask any questions you have. I hope that this has been a little bit more informative for you on how we can best utilize retargeting on site and the power of it. So once you can start to do it, you get a phenomenally amazing result. Play with this if you're doing video. So we want to go into our audiences section once again. As that loads up. Same section we had before, but we're creating a custom audience of engagement on Facebook. So that's the big differentiator here, engagement on Facebook. And this is where we look at the video. So we can choose how long people have watched it. So if you have a really long video, I reckon, so like 5 minutes plus, I will recommend 25% of people who watch your video. If you have a short one, I would say 50%, to make sure you still get the right audience, like engaged audience in there. So 50%, you can choose your video depending on where you are doing it. As an example, if we select this one, past days, and it's like 50% video viewers, as an example. So you have that audience. So what now we could do is the same as before. So we have that where we'll be marketing to those 50% video viewers, and we would exclude the replay page. So we can exclude people that have hit that, or actually, sorry, for the first level, excluding people that have hit the registration page. For all the other campaigns, so level 1 is viewers, excluding page. Number 2 is going to be page, excluding replay page, or thank you page, whatever that may be. So this was just a short one to really show you guys some of the more powerful things. So if you want to go and have a play with these, please do. They're pretty fun and powerful. If you don't, again, no need to. This is just a bonus section to really share with you some of the cool things you can do when you start to really master, because all of you are becoming moguls at this. Once you really start to master the system that is Facebook. So that's all. And I might just quickly see if I can, while we're here, just delete these so the guys don't get confused. Awesome. So that's what I wanted to cover for this section, is to share with you some of the power of what you can do when you really start to understand it. Because next week we talk about scaling up, scaling out, and if you can understand these things really, really effectively, then you are set for life.